For what?
For nuking people.
Indeed, that is what they're for, but why do we need to nuke people?
No, not that. I mean, as a deterrent, really, because...
Well, hold it. I asked you why we need them. You said for nuking people.
Yeah.
Are you now telling me that we're not going to nuke people?
No, we will if we have to.
Make your mind up.
All right, well, we will if we have to, but I don't think we'd ever need to.
You don't think we would ever need to?
No.
We've already needed to.
When?
Do you not recall stories of the Second World War?
Yeah.
They were used then.
When? Not by the British.
The British were involved in the decision to use them. It was the Allied forces that decided to use them.
Oh, well,
Little country called Japan, a lot of yellow people there, remember it?
yeah, they're yellow now.
No, they were yellow then. It is their natural colouring.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Oh.
And so they were nuked. Twice.
What's that?
So the fact is that we may well use them without ever having had a nuclear strike against us.
Well, I think we still need them.
Why?
As a deterrent, nobody'd use them now, would they?
According to the Allied commander NATO, yes.
Right, yeah, but they only say that to frighten people, like the
Well, why
Tories
not
did
just-
during the election.
Well, why not bother having them at all and just pretend we've got them so we can frighten people? Do you think we actually are easily going to con our intellectual equals?
No.
No, so
No,
you don't think...
but there again, they might find out.
Are you saying that the NATO Allied commander is actually lying? He has no intention or any plans to use them at all?
Yeah,
Do you really believe that?
yeah.
Are you taking medication?
Why, you?
No, but you ought to be.
Well,
If you
try-
actually believe that the Allied commander NATO says that he has on stocks a computerized plan to fire nuclear weapons first strike in certain circumstances, when in fact he has not, if you actually believe that, you must be some kind of imbecile.
Yeah, but they say
Well,
that...
do you actually believe that?
Yeah.
Do you actually believe that the Allied commander says we have a nuclear strike force plan for first use, and in fact he hasn't?
Yeah, I do.
Waste of time talking to you.
See you, fatty.
I'll see you, idiot. How do Alison?
Hello?
Yes.
Alan? I'd like to talk about snooker, please.
Go on.
Well, I think women's snooker should be shown on the telly.
Do you think anybody would watch it apart from a quick flash of the knickers as they lean over the table?
Yeah, I think people will, yeah.
Why?
Well, because, well, if they're going to watch men's, they're going to watch women's, aren't they?
No, because it would seem, and I cannot think of one good reason why this is the case, but it would seem that they are not as good at snooker as men.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because they'll have a standard, won't they?
They will have a standard, yes. Well, why don't we have 4-year-olds playing snooker on television? Because they'll have a standard as well. It won't be very good, but it'll be a standard.
Well, give me one reason, Alan, why they should show men's snooker, not women's. It's not fair, is it?
It isn't fair. It's clearly sexist, but the decision to show it is whether people will watch it to the degree of skill. The 10th best snooker player in the world, male, is considerably better than the best woman.
It doesn't matter, though. I don't think it matters.
Well, it may not matter to you, but clearly people will not watch buffoons or people who are not particularly skillful performing their sports.
Well, how do you know they're not very good?
Because they don't make the world rankings.
Well, they must be. There must be some good women.
Well, I'm not suggesting there are no good women. We're only talking about snooker, first of all. And yes, they must be quite good. They'd certainly thrash me, but then I'm not a snooker player. What they won't do is thrash the men. I don't think it'd be a particularly exciting television spectacle.
Yeah, but I think there'll be enough good women to do it, to show it on telly.
Well, write to the television people and tell them. But I doubt that they'll be persuaded by your one forlorn voice. Maybe you need to get thousands of others to join you. But I wish you luck, because if we're going to have blokes on, we might as well have women on.
Well,
if the blokes are boring us, let the women bore us too.
I bet there's thousands of others who want to see women snooker as well.
Then all write to the television companies and tell them.
I bet all women do.
I don't know that all will, because I can think of a lot of women that are fed up with snooker on the telly already, but never mind, I'm sure if everybody wants it, they'll get it. Good night.
Good night.
How do, Martin?
Alan,
What?
I'd like to talk about nuclear bombs and where they store them.
And where they store them?
Yeah.
Go on.
Because what I'm saying is they keep the protesters at Greenham Common, the CND protesters, and they take some nuclear weapons into Greenham Common to keep the protesters there. And the majority of the nuclear bombs will end up going to somewhere like Burton Wood Airfield. That's what I reckon they do.
It's a very interesting thought, but there isn't really anything to fire them with at Burton Wood. You see, you can't just throw them, you can't catapult them, you need some form of projectile. And there isn't any form of projectile at Burton Wood, and there is at Greenham and Molesworth there will be. You see,
you might have in terms, aerodromes.
In terms of actual combat, the protesters will not be a problem. They obviously make a considerable nuisance of themselves in rehearsals and in exercises, but when it comes to the real McCoy, they'll just shoot them.
Yeah.
So they won't be a problem. They'll just come out and go brrr, and then just pile the bodies on one side and get on with their carnage. So it doesn't really matter that the protesters are there in terms of actual conflict, should it ever arise.
Yeah.
So there's no need to disguise where they are.
That was just...
It was an interesting thought, not particularly useful, but interesting. After the 11 o'clock news, we'll be talking to somebody called David and possibly somebody called Christine, which is always a treat, I'm sure. We might even be talking to you if you ring us on Preston 56 1000.
The 11 o'clock news, this is Alan King. A lawyer acting for some of the 200 children taken into care on Teesside says new medical tests on 3 of them show they were not sexually abused. The lawyer, David Scarfield, is demanding the return of the children to their families. If it doesn't happen, he says he'll take court action in the morning to get them back. Tonight, dozens of parents of the children in care attended a church in Middlesbrough. At an emotional service, they prayed that their families would soon be reunited. The service was organised by the vicar, the Reverend Michael Wright, who says what's happening may damage the families for years to come.
I've had parents saying to me, I shall be terrified of touching my children when or if I get them back. And I think it will have a long-term effect on family bonding in many cases.
A 4th man has been arrested in connection with Britain's biggest ever seizure of cocaine in London's Harley Street, where the country's top private doctors work. 51-year-old Roy Garner of North London will appear in court in the morning, charged with illegally importing the drug. £9 million worth of cocaine was found when customs officers raided a Harley Street address on Sunday. An Old Bailey jury has heard that an alleged rape victim got revenge on the man accused of attacking her by hitting him in the groin with a claw hammer. From the court, Tim Crook.
Prosecuting counsel Michael Stewart Moore said you can imagine the effect of the blow. He was unable to say a single word. When the police arrived, the accused was still rolling around in agony. He was on all fours and needed stitches in hospital. He was in so much pain he could not be questioned by detectives. The court heard the couple had met at a wedding reception earlier that day. The 39-year-old accused denies rape in August last year, and the trial continues. Tim Crook, IRN, the Old Bailey.
The government's confirmed that the Queen's speech tomorrow, setting out its plans for the new Parliament, will include a bill to make parents pay more for their children's education. But there's also some cheer. Pubs in England and Wales will be allowed to stay open 12 hours a day, except on Sundays. The banned George Michael song, I Want Your Sex, is being used in Belgium to teach English to young children. A full transcript of the song is printed in national newspapers, and the video is shown on television, and so far there's been no protest from anyone. John Fraser reports.
If a young Belgian comes up to you and says, don't you think it's time you had sex with me? Don't worry, he's only doing his homework. The Brussels newspaper Le Soir has joined forces with national television to give English lessons using video clips. The English lyrics are given in full along with their French translation, which will be of great use to young children who want to join George Michael in raising the important question, what's your definition of dirty, baby? Another highlight of the video classroom is Depeche Mode's sadomasochistic song, Strange Love. John Fraser, IRN, Brussels.
British boxer Terry Marsh, the fighting fireman from Basildon, may have to undergo an AIDS test before he defends his world light welterweight title in London next week. His Japanese opponent, Akio Kameda, is complaining that he's being forced to have a test by the boxing authorities here, but Marsh is exempt because he's from Britain. Terry Marsh is refusing to take an AIDS test because he says it'll interfere with his preparations for the bout. Independent Radio News.
Ring him if you dare.
Allan Beswick, the late night show.
I don't understand that about that boxer. How will it interfere with his preparations? It only takes about 30 seconds to give a blood sample, for crying out loud. Perhaps he's scared of the needle. Never mind. What you might call a needle match. How do... David.
Hello, Alan?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
I bought an 18-wheeled mountain bike about 2 weeks ago.
And how many wheeled?
An 18-geared mountain bike.
I thought you said 18-wheel. Well, that takes some pedaling.
An 18-geared mountain bike, and it's just cracked under the seat post. What can I do about it?
Well, I should do away with some of them gears. They're obviously too heavy for it.
No, well, it's just cracked. My mate bought one, and his is okay.
Well, swap with your mate.
Yeah, he won't let me though, will he?
No, I don't blame him. Take it back to the shop.
Yeah?
It seems a good idea.
Suppose so.
Start there then. Go back shop on it. Only don't ride it there in case the seat falls apart. It could be quite painful. How do Christine?
Hello, Alan. Since Easter, I've not been feeling very well. And on Monday I went for a blood test at the infirmary. And they tested me for a full blood count plus a monospot. And I'm worried about this monospot test. Could you tell me what it's the test is being tested for, please?
I haven't a clue.
Have you not?
But I'm sure somebody out there has. So if anybody out there knows what a monospot blood test is, give us a ring now on Preston 561,000 and tell us. Because Christine is worried. All right, love?
Thank you. Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah,
have you ever considered it might be a good idea to ask the doctor?
Well, I've got to go back to the doctor in the morning, but I'm so worried about it. I thought I might
Well,
have you.
next time you go to the doctors, and we'll probably get an answer for you during the course of this programme, but next time you go to the doctors and he or she says something to you you don't understand, ask. That's what he or she is getting all that money for. All right, love?
Okay.
Cheers. If you know what a monospot test is, a blood test that is, then ring us now and tell us on Preston 561,000. How do Kevin?
Oh, Alan?
Yes?
You know that Moore's murder thing?
Well, you'll have to be more specific than that.
Well, Mount Lily and that,
Yes.
did it take place in Manchester?
On the outskirts of Manchester is where the bodies are buried, but yes, some of the crimes took place in Manchester.
Just goes to show though, doesn't it?
I don't want to know what it just goes to show. You're obviously some kind of intellectual buffoon. How do Joanne?
Hello?
Yes?
I'd just like to say, me and my friends went out the other day in the car, and we were just trying to get our, there was 4 girls, and we were just trying to get our own back on the men, who were always continuously wolf whistling and showing themselves up, basically, in the cars. And we went out, and we were just driving around with our windows down, music on full blast, and wolf whistling like them. And you should have seen their faces. They were so amazed, and the responses that we were getting from them, they were just showing themselves up. They were just being so pathetic. And it just goes to show how male chauvinistic that these men are, doesn't it?
Well, I suppose it might do, but weren't you showing yourselves up by doing exactly the same thing?
But we wanted to just prove to ourselves that we, that, you know, we're give them some of their own medicine back, really.
Well, I don't suppose I'd be bothered if some woman whistled at me. Chance would be a fine thing.
But we were picking on the posers that we thought looked okay. And the looks that they were getting, what would your response be?
I'm not really sure. I've been described as many things. Poseur, I've not yet been described as, but I'm still open to offers.
Well, next time we'll see you then, we'll do the same to you, hey?
I look forward to it.
Right.
With trepidation of sorts. Thank you very much, Joanne.
Bye.
Whereabouts were you cruising? I'm quite prepared to wander there in the hope
down
of...
Manchester area.
It's a long way to go for a wolf whistle, but I'll do my best. Ta-ra.
Bye.
I'll do Arnold.
Hello, Alan.
Yeah.
Hello, Alan.
Yes.
I want to talk to you, if I can, about the incident on Tyneside today about those children that's been taken into care.
Well, I think you mean the incidents over the last couple of years, indeed over the last 12 months, not just today, but go on.
Well, I mean, today, no, the incident today was that there was a question about the parents suing the bringing up a case to take the children back. Well, that's what I wanted to talk about. The one
Right,
that's
let's hear
happened
it
today.
then. Yes.
I just feel that whilst I'm very concerned about the care of children, because I'm a school teacher, actually, I am concerned about it. I think that this is another case where the authorities have overreacted, and I think it's the social services that's basically responsible. I mean, do you think that it's... I mean, you know, the reaction of parents to this sort of thing is absolutely appalling. I mean, you know, it's a serious matter, isn't it?
Well, explain what you mean. You seem to be saying that everybody's appalling at the moment. Nobody seems to be getting it right other than Arnold. What do you think is appalling?
I think it's appalling that the children have been taken into care, and then they've got to go through, get surgeons and specialists in to prove that they're innocent, that the parents are innocent.
Well, just a moment. What we have to remember is that a court has already decided that those children had been sexually abused by their parents. The court has made that decision. Now,
is that really so? Is that so? I mean, I'm asking you quite...
Well, you said you were
so?
Arnold, you said you were a teacher. Now, one of the things you learn as a teacher is to do with children in care and how they're taken into care. Now, children are not taken into care merely because a social worker thinks it's a jolly good idea. There has to be a court order.
Well,
now, some of the children may well be in what is defined as voluntary care, and it's very difficult to get your children out of voluntary care against the wishes of the social services, because if you do make such an attempt and you do persist in your attempt, they will merely apply to the courts for a care order.
Yes,
but I suggest that the majority are already in care under the, if you like, the guise, under the jurisdiction of a court order. It is the court that has made the decision. Now, the evidence submitted to the court has convinced the court that those children were or had been sexually abused.
But in the last, I think it was a month actually, they'd taken 200 into care. And
certainly. Certainly.
And now some of the parents have had to employ, which is fair enough, employ other doctors, other surgeons to prove that there's no case to answer.
Well, no, there is a case to answer. The case has already been answered. They want the case reviewing, and they want to challenge the evidence put by the courts. It was possible, and I'm talking just in terms of possibility now, not probability, not even reality, but it was possible that the parents could have put that argument against the children being taken into care at the first hearing. Unfortunately, most parents are so distraught and shocked that they don't get proper advice, they don't use that proper advice, and they don't get legal help. They just go along and accept what happens. And it is only the statistics that have caused questions to be asked. But to be honest, and I, like you, am horrified by those statistics, but as I'm a detached observer, I would far sooner 1 or 2 more children taken into care than 1 or 2 more dead.
Well, I'm not talking about... I know that's not the case.
No, hold it. That is what you're talking about. If those children had not been taken into care, and at the moment the law has decided that they should have been, if those children had not been taken into care, who's to say that they would not now be pushing up daisies? They would not now be dead.
No, but I'm talking about the cases that have been taken into care, and now they're turning... I mean, even the doctor said today that she could be wrong, and that there wasn't 100%.
Arnold, I think it is absolutely right and proper that a doctor should not lie. The doctor says, I could be wrong, but the doctor has also said, I don't think I am.
Yeah, well,
otherwise, she would not have submitted the evidence in the way that she did. Yeah. So that is her belief.
I accept that.
Now, what do you expect we should do?
What we should do is to, before people are taken to court in future, I feel they should make sure that it's absolutely true, because there is evidence today...
Well, just a minute.
Let me finish, if you don't mind, because I'll listen to you.
Right.
There is evidence today that there are going to be cases come up to before another judge, or the same judge, where the children are going back to the parents. Now, what I'm saying is, I want to protect the children like you did, but I also want to protect the rights of parents who are going through this traumatic experience.
Right.
I mean, it's a dreadful situation.
Let us first of all examine who the court cares most about. Who do you think the court...
The children, of course.
Right, of course. Well, I'm not suggesting there is. I'm just trying to make sure that we all know what we're talking about.
Correct.
Now, the court gets evidence. It only ever gets evidence.
Yes.
Now, the evidence of sexual abuse to a child is not, and can only rarely, be conclusive evidence. Now, a phrase you used when I tried to stop you and you said, let me carry on,
yes.
A phrase you used was, we have to make absolutely certain. Let me tell you, we cannot make absolutely certain.
Oh, I accept that, yes.
But you are saying that we should make absolutely certain.
No,
Now you're accepting that we cannot make
No,
absolutely certain.
I didn't
So you're
not-
saying that we should achieve the impossible.
If a
That
doctor,
is what you said.
No, if a doctor is in doubt, what I'm saying, then he should. How can they make a positive
Arnold,
decision?
does the name Maria Caldwell mean anything to you?
I do, yes, it does indeed.
it
Very true.
means-
I accept that, yes.
The social worker there was in doubt. The kid's dead.
Yeah, but you're bringing. I know.
No, the social worker was in doubt.
You're bringing up cases about brutal. Sorry,
But Arnold,
physical attack.
Arnold, what I'm saying to you, eventually,
you're talking about one thing, and I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the cases
Arnold,
where children have been beaten up. I mean, I'm talking about the stigma put on some parents about sexual offences against the children. That's what I was talking about.
yes, I know. But what we've got to remember is that we cannot, it is impossible to have, no, it's not impossible, but it is almost always inevitable that we will not have conclusive evidence. Now, in the case of a lack of conclusive evidence, the courts have to rely on the opinion of those who specialise in this kind of work.
Social workers, like I said.
Some are social workers, sometimes it's doctors, sometimes it's a composite. Sometimes it's even the police.
Yes,
but the courts have to rely on the specialists. The specialists ultimately have to make a value judgment. They cannot make a straightforward factual decision, a straightforward yes-no decision. They have to say, is it more yes than no? Is it more no than yes? And once they cross that line, and they get to the stage where, in their mind, they honestly believe that the child has been sexually abused, they have a duty to society, they have a duty to that child that is far greater and far superior than the duty to its parents. And the case Maria Caldwell and all those other cases were all cases where the social worker erred in favour of the parents and the kid ended up dead. Now, it is perfectly possible that the next stage to sexual abuse is physical abuse, and the stage after that can be death.
Well, I accept that, but the
And
point
it's got
is,
to be stopped.
I agree with you, but the question is, I mean, you've got one doctor stating today that, well, not today, of course, in the past, that one of the child had been sexually assaulted, and then you've got a doctor a surgeon turning around and saying it wasn't so.
But that is the very point I made, Arnold.
Yeah, I
That
accept that,
it comes down to a value judgment on the part of the doctor, and we have to have an independent, impartial body that will make the decision on the basis of the evidence presented by all the parties involved. That independent, impartial body is called a court. The independent, impartial body has assessed all the evidence it had made available to it, and it has decided that those children ought to go into care. It wasn't the doctor that made the decision. She or he only submitted their evidence. It was actually the court that made the decision, and the court is now going to review that decision because collectively the statistics appear to indicate, and only at this stage appear to indicate, that there has been, if you like, judgment erring on the side of the child too often.
Well, I'm not arguing about that.
In other words, they've been overcautious.
I accept that, but I mean, my reason for ringing you was, not only do I feel for the children, I mean that's obvious, but the fact is, I do feel that the stigma that can be put on parents, it's for life, isn't it, if they do that? And that's why I wanted to ring you, because I think the stigma that's been put on parents now in Teesside is going to be with them forever and ever.
You're a teacher, Arnold?
Yes, I am indeed.
This, at the moment, may seem irrelevant. What age group do you teach?
Up to 16.
Up to 16. Do you remember the days when a teacher, because I don't know how long you've been a teacher, but you were a pupil when I was, probably. Do you remember the days when a teacher could crack you on the shoulder and say, get your homework done, or where's your homework, and all that? Do you remember those days?
I do, yes.
If a teacher did that now, the teacher would be brought to the courts, quite probably, and would be done for assault.
Yeah, I know, but you're changing that. I mean, I'm not talking...
Well, I know you're not. Just bear with me.
Okay,
please bear with me. Society moves. It doesn't develop gently. It seems to career. Because I actually feel that it's well within the realms of a teacher's obligation, perhaps, to occasionally strike a child across the shoulder. I'm not talking about beating him about the head. I'm not talking about caning him in front of school and all that. I'm talking about just wandering past and cuffing him on the shoulder and saying, get on with your work. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It is brutality of sorts. But society has moved in such a way now that teachers dare not even threaten to crack a kid without contemplating facing the magistrates.
Oh, I don't think it's as bad as that, but Alan.
It is, in fact.
I think you've exaggerated there.
It is that bad. There are cases on file, and I'm sure you must know of them, where teachers have said to the kid, if you do that again, I'll cane you, and they've actually been brought up for assault, because that is assault.
What sort of assault?
That is assault. If you threaten someone and they believe you, you have assaulted them. If you hit them, that's assault and battery.
Oh, well, I think that's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, and the teacher that paid the 48 quid fine thought it was pretty ridiculous too.
Well,
what I'm saying to you
Yeah,
is that fear that has been instilled in teachers, and that fear is there. I talk to teachers as often as you do, and that fear is there. We have all our hands tied, and yet we're still required to discipline. Is now actually going further and going on to parents.
Yes.
Now, we've got to do something about it, but I, quite honestly, do not know what. Because what do? Do we say to parents, and in my analogy to teachers, well, all right, you can start hitting them again? And if we do, what kind of worms are we opening? How many more Maria Caldwells will there be?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I know that, but the question is, I mean, you're going from one extreme to the other there, aren't you, really? I mean,
but life
I don't
is,
think it's
life
as bad
is,
as that.
well, it isn't. I'm sorry, Arnold, it is an extreme. We have a case that is so extreme that it's being dragged back through the courts. That's how extreme it is.
Yeah,
and for
yes.
those parents, it damn well is extreme.
Yes.
What I'm saying to you is if the court had decided in the other direction, and we don't know, we're only suggesting that it might be possible, that if the court had decided in those cases in Cleveland, if they had decided in the other direction, it might be the children that were in horrendous circumstances.
Yeah,
and if you've got to scar somebody, then I say every time, if it is inevitable that someone's going to get scarred, let the adult get scarred, because the kid's the most important.
Oh, I agree, but
okay.
But if you're going, there's no argument about that. But if you're going to scar the parent, it must come back indirectly on their own children, when they come back to them. I mean, there's no problem there. And you know, the point is, it's a question that you can't really solve.
And I think we are evidence of that, and the courts have exactly that problem. They have an insoluble problem, but they don't have the convenience that you and I have got to say, well, it was a good conversation, Arnold, thanks very much. They've got to make a decision.
Yes, all right.
Okay. It was a good conversation, Arnold. Thanks very much. Ta-ra. How do, Jack? Hello, Jack.
Hello.
What do you want?
Alan, I wonder why I didn't put any Haze music on.
Any what?
Haze music.
I don't like Haze music. How do, Barbara?
Hello, Alan.
Hello.
I just wanted to put your earlier caller's mind at ease. A monospot is done to check for glandular fever.
Right, well, thank you for that, Barbara.
Right, thank you.
All right, cheers. Bye-bye. Bye. So if our earlier caller, I think it was Christine, is listening, monospot is looking for glandular fever. Just as well they check for it, really. How do, Jason?
How do, Alan? I'd like to talk about football.
Oh, dear. What do you want to say about it?
I want to know what you think about whether Preston will survive a struggle next season in Division 3.
I didn't even know they were in Division 3. And I don't know.
You must have.
All right, I did. I'm sorry. I didn't think I did, but obviously if you say I did, I did.
Yeah. Well, do you think they'll survive a struggle?
I haven't a clue. I know nothing. As I said, I didn't even know they were in Division 3.
You must have.
Why must I?
It's been in all newspapers and everything.
I don't read anything to do with sport. Well, to do with football, anyway. If I pick up a newspaper and there it says such and such a thing about football, I go and read something else. I don't care about football. It is a boring, pretentious game played by jerks, watched by plebs.
Well, you can say that about any sport, can't you?
I just said it about football. That is my opinion. I refuse to say it about sports that it is not my opinion that that is the case.
Right. Thank you.
What do you think?
Well, I think they'll do about average. They'll finish mid-table.
Well, it was hardly worth bothering then, was it?
Oh.
If that's all you've got to say, I think it's about average. You might as well have kept your gob shut.
There's so much to see and do on the Isle of Man, you'll never fit it all in without a car. Fishing, windsurfing, motorsport, golf, you'll drive a long way before you find anywhere else with as much to offer. So put your foot down this weekend to the Isle of Man with Isle of Man steam packet seaways from Heysham and Liverpool. See your travel agent.
The better way to get away, it's Isle of Man Seaways.
Hey, listen, the boss is away on holiday, so to get him back for years of stick, I'm clearing all his sockets, showers and cable. In fact, anything electrical at prices so low it'd go bonkers. The Triton T70 shower unit, trade price £61, my price £48.99, including VAT. Expel Air window fan, trade price £38, my price £31.50, including VAT. All this at Steve Gorton Discount Electrical Supplies, 39 Water Lane, Ashton, Preston, or Electrical Super Save Centre, 230 Chorley Old Road, Bolton. But hurry, the boss gets back in a couple of weeks and he's bound to fire me.
If the roof caves in or you need a new bin, get yourself down to Fairwood. Need a new front door or tiles on the floor, get yourself down to Fairwood. If the front gate squeaks or the radiator leaks or the house needs a lick of paint, then nail it, screw it, you know you can do it yourself with Fairwood. Need a tin of grout or a new downspout, do it yourself with Fairwood. Patio flags and cement in bags, do it yourself with Fairwood. Keep the weather out, insulate the house, you can save yourself on mint. Just nail it, screw it, you know you can do it yourself with Fairwood.
At Cemetery Road Southport, Higgins Lane Burscough, and now at Market Woods Wigan Road West Horton.
This Sunday sees the last in the present series of free car window marking sessions organised by Lancashire Police and Red Rose Radio. It's in the car park of Blackburn's new town centre shopping precinct, and the entrance is in Exchange Street. Experts from Autoglass, the national windscreen company, will mark your car windows absolutely free, but we'd like you to make a small donation to a police charity. It's between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m, so go along and help protect your car from thieves.
How do, Ken?
Hello, Frank Sidebottom at Super Sleuth here.
Thought you said your name was Ken. Hold it.
What's that?
Thought you said your name was Ken.
All right, tell him I'll have a shanty.
I'm sorry?
Oh, playing around. I thought you...
Oh, dear. How do, Debbie?
Hiya.
Hello?
Hiya.
Yes, I am.
You alright?
What do you want?
Oh, he's cocky, isn't he?
If all you're going to do is laugh, then get off. What do you want?
I want to know what you think about Stephen Green.
Shut your gob and tell me what you want. You can't shut your gob and tell me what you want, so get off, you dozy cow. How do, Dave?
Good evening, Al.
Is it?
I just really could help me out on one thing. But first, I'd like to know...
Well, it's one thing, not two.
Yeah, okay then. The results of that young lady doing your programme last night for half an hour. Kate, is it Kate?
It was.
Yeah. What does how many people actually rung up said, will she be on again?
None of them rang up and said, will she be on again?
No, sorry. How many put the vote forward then saying they would like her to be on again?
I've forgotten. I think it was 250. Was it about 250, Rod? Yeah, we'll settle for that anyway.
Yeah, and one thing connected with it, really.
Go on.
I rung her up because everybody's ringing up about Freemasons. And, well, most people were. And I'm not exactly too sure what a Freemason is. And I was just wondering if you could clear me up on that. I mean, I know it's some sort of secret society.
Well, that's it. It's a member of that secret society.
But, I mean, what have people got against them, really? I mean,
Well, various different people have various different things against them. The current conversations on this programme about Freemasonry have been, if you like, brought about, been caused by a report that was published last week by the Anglican Church, saying that in their view it was inconducive, it was not conducive for an Anglican to also be a Mason.
Because, yeah, that's, now why? Because, is that because they have some sort of...
They gave two reasons in that report. One of them was that the Masons use in their rituals references to pagan gods and link them with what the Christian Church believes is the one true God. And the second reason was that they think it's just straightforward incompatible for a secretly sworn oath, or for a person to secretly swear an oath and be a Christian.
Yeah, but don't...
Well, that is why people criticise it.
Yeah.
Or that's why they were being criticised of late.
Yeah. Well, don't you think that... have you got proof that everybody inside... No, forget that question. But why do you actually think... I know you said before that you don't think that it's right because it doesn't really consider...
Just ask me your question. I really haven't got all day whilst you tell me all the things that you don't think.
Well, I should clear myself up, so I'm not too
I
sure.
don't want you to be cleared up. I want you to ask your question.
Well, I can't really ask you the question without asking you a question first to find out what I want to know.
Well, ask me the question, but you started to make a statement. Ask me the question that you think should be asked first.
Yeah, then. Is it true that sometimes, if they have got people in the Freemasonries who can actually help other people out in trouble, like, I think Kate gave the example last night, if a policeman stops you and you both make it clear you're Freemasons, he may let you off?
It has been known to happen. I wouldn't say it was a frequent occurrence, but it has been known to happen.
But is that also what people have against them because they think it allows favouritism to certain people?
I think one of the things that a lot of people have against Freemasons is that they help one another unjustifiably.
Even if it's against the law?
There are allegations that that is the case, and there very definitely are suspicions that that is the case, and there are one or two factual cases on record. The Poulsen case was allegedly all made possible by the individuals being involved in Freemasonry.
So the Freemasons put sort of their vows before they put whatever vows they made in their job?
That is the suspicion.
Yeah.
Well, you don't make vows in your job very often, but that is the suspicion, and surely it is the case on more than one occasion, but whether it is generally the case, I do not know, but certainly that's the suspicion.
Okay, thanks very much.
All right, Tara. Aru Pam.
Oh, hello, Alan.
Yes?
What I want to know is, I'm a learner driver, right? And on the 11th of the 4th, 87, I had an accident, and I knocked a lamppost over. Now, the council said as I would have to pay £700 for this lamppost, and I'm insured on my dad's insurance, you see. And I wanted to know, would I have to pay the £700 or what?
Well, someone's going to have to pay it to the council. If you make an insurance claim and the insurance claim is valid, then the insurance company will pay it.
Yeah.
If not, you'll have to pay it.
You see, but my dad said, like, that he doesn't want to claim off his insurance because...
Well, you'll have to find £700 then, won't you?
God, yeah, see.
The answer is try not to knock down any more lampposts. It comes out as a fairly expensive... Why should the council pay?
Well,
they didn't knock it down, they put it up.
I know, but you see, the thing was, right, before I knocked the lamppost down, somebody else had already hit the lamppost in the first place, but the council said that there's no record of the people who knocked it down, no one making any report about it.
And have you got any evidence to support your point of view?
No.
Well, you're in a bit of a tight situation, aren't you?
Yeah.
You say, it wasn't me, it was already down, sir. And they say, no, it wasn't, you got a problem.
Yeah.
I think you're going to have to find £700. Sorry, it's 11:30.
Win £50, £20, £15 each week at the Newmarket and M2 Market, Waterloo Road, Blackpool.
Glendon Motors, Peugeot, Talbot.
You get lots more for your money at Glendon Motors, the #1 Peugeot dealer in Lancashire, and especially this month with 0% finance on a choice of petrol 309s from the economical 1100s and 1300s to the sporting 1600s. Ask for written details. Make the most of this fabulous opportunity and bring your used car, because we're giving unbelievable part exchange prices. You'll be glad you came to Glendon.
Glendon Motors, Peugeot, Talbot, Superstore.
Blackpool Road, Preston, phone 735811.
If you live in the Preston or South Ribble areas, you'll already have read about the £4,000 kitchen contest in the Red Rose Advertiser. Now we're opening up the competition, arranged in association with kitchen and bedroom specialists upstairs downstairs of Blackpool Road, Preston, to the whole of our radio audience. So here are 3 questions, and we want you to finish a sentence which we've started in not more than 25 words. Question 1, who played the butler in the TV series Upstairs Downstairs? Question 2, what was Mrs. Bridges' job in the same series? And 3, who was the famous authoress who wrote a series of books on her life below stairs? And now that sentence, and it starts, I would like a fitted kitchen because. Entries to Kitchen Contest, P.O. Box 301, Preston, before July the 25th.
And don't forget, the Red Rose Advertiser is out tomorrow. If you live outside the area in which it is delivered, which I'm told is Preston, South Preston, and... Does it go to Charlie, Roddy? Oh, it's not going to Charlie yet. It's going there in July. Right, well, it's currently in Leyland? Yeah, I think so. Anyway, you'll know. And if you're outside them areas, in other words, if you don't get one and you want one, call into Red Rose Radio, because we always put some on reception here. It is, of course, free. There's an article by me, there's one by Sally, one by Fairburn, and there's an advert for Beswick Blend Coffee. £1/4 of coffee, £1. Mail order, we'll send it to you, and it's good stuff. It's a special blend. You can only get it from me or from the Coffee Exchange. In fact, it's from Exchange Coffee in Blackburn. So if you want some, get it underway. How do, Carl?
Hello, Alan.
Yes.
I'd like to discuss with you the proposition for new licensing laws.
I think we don't need any more for you. You're drunk enough already.
Not quite.
Go on. The Queen's speech tomorrow.
Don't you think it will put the off-licenses not out of business, but reduce their custom?
I'm not sure that it will, no.
Well, surely people prefer going to a pub and drinking in a set atmosphere as to going and purchasing alcohol and going home with it.
But if I wanted to buy a bottle of wine, for example, I certainly wouldn't go to a pub to buy it. It cost me too much. I wanted a bottle of whiskey. I wouldn't go to a pub paying about, 90 pence for a sixth of a gill. If you want a bottle of whiskey at that rate, it's going to cost you an hell of a lot of money.
But what about the Great British Pint? It's the most common drink, isn't it, in Britain?
Well, it's drunk by commoners, for sure. I don't know that it is the most common drink. I think you'll probably find that tea is the most common drink.
No, alcoholic drink.
I think it probably is in terms of gallons drunk, but of course you don't need as much whiskey to get paralytic. But the Great British Pint is purchased in many other forms. It's purchased in cans quite a lot.
Yeah.
In off-licences. You see, if you're going to a party, you're hardly likely to take a bucket to the pub, are you? Say, hey, lad, here, come here, lad. When you're watching the snooker or the football on TV, you're not likely to send out for a bucket full. You'll actually get some cans in, more than likely. And the chances are you will purchase those from an off-licence.
True.
So I don't think it'll affect their business at all, other than it might improve it, because of course they too will have extended licensing hours, because they too often are subject to licensing hours.
Is that also a proposition for extended licensing hours for off-licences?
To be honest, I don't know, and I don't think anyone will know for sure until the Queen's speech tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
yeah,
ta-ra. How do, Shane?
I think it's quite unfair why people under 16 should pay. I mean, people over 16 should pay a deal further than people under 16.
What do you suggest we do?
Well, should make one set fair for everyone. So I don't see the point in having two different fares.
The idea is to get people to use the form of transport where the fares are relevant. And the reason they have lower fares for children is to encourage families to travel together. And if it's going to cost you, say you've got a man, a woman and 3 children, it's going to cost 5 fares.
Yeah.
And they might think, well, it's cheaper to get a car.
Yeah. Alright.
Alright. How do, Jack?
There was a man.
It wasn't on long. How do, Paul? Oh, another one. How do, Ken?
Hello, Alan.
Yes?
How are we doing, alright?
I'm doing very well. I can't speak for you.
Good. Listen, just a quick one. Who gives you the right to call a woman a cow?
Anyone that likes, but I choose my rights.
Yes, but...
Well, if you don't like it, listen to something else. Radio 2 is very polite at this time of the morning. Fall asleep to that.
Well, listen.
No, I won't listen. If you don't like it, listen to something else. Listen, pal, I make the decisions on this programme. If you don't like them, then go play on the railway or something equally dangerous.
I'm not making a decision.
What do you mean you're not making a decision?
I'm just asking...
I decide... I have the right. I'm the one that sits here at this microphone. It's called a total and utterly unjust decision, but I make it.
Have you finished?
Yes, and so have you. How do? Who did you say? Wait, Rodney! Stay awake, Petal. Tracy. How do, Tracy?
Good evening, Alan. I'd like to talk about censorship, if I may.
Go on.
Well, to me, the only advantage of censorship and anything, the people who benefit from it is the people who make the records or make the films, because immediately you censor something, everybody either wants to go and see it or listen to it if they borrow it from somewhere, like this George Michael record now. I mean, you can't listen to it anywhere, but immediately it's gone into number 2. And it's the same with a film. Even if you borrow it from a certain cinema, I remember there was one years ago, the Clockwork Orange, they borrowed it from Blackpool, but they put it on in St Anne's. So immediately everybody went down to St Anne's and it made a fortune.
Well, there are an awful lot of things that never make it that are censored. Just because a record's banned doesn't mean it'll be a hit. They've banned records before that have got nowhere.
Yes, I agree, but...
So the statement you're making, you now retract, do you?
No, I don't retract it. I'm just saying...
Why did you say you agree with me? Because I made a statement to the opposite of
No,
yours.
I agreed with the statement that you said there are a lot of records that don't make it, that would get barred. But
No, I didn't say that. I said there are a lot of records that do get barred that don't make it. Indeed, they are in the majority. Let's face it, George Michael's record, despite the fact that it's a load of dross and that he's a prat...
Oh, I agree with you there, definitely.
That record would still have gone in at the top of the charts, whether it had been banned by radio stations or not.
It hasn't done any harm, though, has it? It's got extra publicity.
I don't think it was ever going to need any good or harm. You could argue that George Michael records normally go to number 1, and this one has only gone straight in at number 2, so maybe it has done it a bit of harm. I don't know. But certainly, it was going to go up there anyway. So I don't think that's a good example. But there are lots of other records that don't make it that get banned.
But
in fact, you never hear them.
With films as well. Oh, there's another thing. I mean, this is slightly different, but about 2 years ago, I went to see a play at the Grand. It was an Allan Beswick play, Having a Ball.
Brilliant.
And it was
Absolutely
brilliant.
Yes.
Now, that was censored, and I agree that it should have been, you know...
Well, it wasn't censored.
But the public were warned what they were going to see.
Absolutely. You were told that there would be a willy in it. And
yes.
I've seen it a few times. The longest one I saw was at the Playhouse.
The longest what?
It was hanging down like a baby's arm.
I didn't see that one. I missed out there.
Last time I said out like that, I was picking buns up and shoving up its bum. Mind you, it was on an elephant. No.
I was going to say, is the man still around? Is he going to say, well, I'll go and see it again if he's still doing it?
No, it was a long time ago. The fella eventually fell out of a window on the Boys from the Black Stuff. Yeah, same actor. However, that's another story.
The point I was with that was, I mean, I went to see it and I knew exactly what I was going to see because it was well publicised what it was like. Now,
Can I ask you a question, Jay? Is that why you went? It's a serious question.
No, it isn't. I went because I like Allan Beswick's plays.
Right. Now, do you think many other people went because it was going to have a willy in it? Or there was a lot of rude words in it?
I would say there was probably quite a few that went because of that, yes.
Okay. Now let me ask you another question. You've obviously come on to say that censorship is a double-edged sword.
Yes,
Do you think censorship is a good thing or a bad thing? Straight question.
Do I think it's a good thing or a bad thing? But I have to say I think it is a good thing. I'm not saying it always works, but I'm saying it's probably a good thing for quite a few reasons.
So it would seem that what you're saying is that we ought to have a panel or an individual or what have you, but somebody ought to examine plays, ought to watch the plays, watch the films, listen to the radio perhaps, and certainly watch television programmes, and decide whether those programmes should be... Now, this is the question part of it.
Yeah.
Are you saying that those people should have the right to decide that some programmes are unfit for viewing or listening to and ban them altogether? Are you saying that they should merely put them into a graded category and that anything, including the hardest and most disgusting